Hi, my name is Nan and in fact, I did not start RadWatch. Ray Masalas and Deb Reed and Kathy Iwani did. So I don't want to take credit for that. But I am here representing the interests of radiation monitoring across North America and beyond. So I'm going to read my talk because it'll be easier for me. So I'm really honored and humbled to be with you all here today. I've been asked to talk about independent radiation monitoring and the efforts of a small group of us to track radiation readings across North America and beyond. We all know that the government has failed us. They've failed to protect us and to protect the planet upon which we depend for life itself. The EPA has been obstructionist regarding monitoring the radiation coming from Japan following the meltdowns that began on March 11, 2011 and continue to this day. They have tampered with their own data. They have shut off and failed to maintain the monitors that were set up to track radiation across the U.S. And they have repeatedly refused, to test food and water as a result of the fallout coming from the Fukushima ongoing meltdowns and melt-throughs. If we want radiation data, it needs to come from ourselves. And I meant to come up here with my my inspector alert Geiger counter, but I forgot. We need to get realistic and stop expecting our government to do things that it won't. Right. If we want the knowledge and if we want radiation data, we need to collect that data ourselves, and then we need to network to share it with others. We need to create a community of radiation monitors. This is critical to understanding what's going on, to educating others, to protecting ourselves and all of life. And it's critical to activism because if we don't know what the numbers are, how can we possibly talk from an informed standpoint when it comes to actual radiation data? I'm part of a larger non-governmental independent network of folks that have been monitoring radiation levels in North America and in various other locations around the world since the meltdowns began in Japan. Because of our ongoing continuous monitoring 24/7 in some cases, and I want to recognize my partner, and I'm afraid he's not here, but Nokoboy Travers has his laptop running 24/7 monitoring the radiation graphs across the U.S., and he is absolutely dedicated to this effort. So because of our continuous monitoring, we have a good handle on what normal background radiation and elevated radiations look like. We know exactly what background looks like, and we know exactly what plumes coming through look like. We have and we continue to see plumes or waves of radiation pass through North America. You can see the plumes graphically, and I am not kidding. They do not look like normal background radiation. They look like waves. We have watched these waves of radiation cross the North American continent and beyond to Europe, from the west to the east, repeatedly over the last 18 months, following the path and timing of the jet stream's movements. I'm talking about from Japan, Fukushima, and the other reactors that went into criticality starting on March 11, 2011. We have also noticed what we believe to be gamma pulses, waves that move faster than the jet stream, crossing the continent in shorter time periods than the jet stream moves. These are very curious. We have a bunch of citizen scientists on board, and very interesting. The radiation plumes appear to be influenced by large bodies of water, in particular the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans, which seem to moderate the radiation levels on both coasts. I'm talking about this whole time period of the last 18 months since March 11, 2011. The plumes also seem to be impacted by the large mountain ranges, the Cascades, Sierras, and Rockies, that effectively direct the airflow to the north and south and split the plumes as they cross the country. We have radiation stations all over the country as well as individuals providing this information. Additionally, We have observed that the more polluted locales have higher radiation readings, and our working theory is that the radionuclides may be binding to other pollutants in these locales. Places like Bakersfield, Fresno, Spokane, Philadelphia, Grand Rapids, Ponca City, and other locations that are polluted all have unusually elevated radiation readings relative to less polluted areas. Places like the outer coast of the outside of the coastal areas of the Bay Area and Seattle have very low readings compared to some of the polluted areas. It's very curious. It's taken us a long time to sort of come to some conclusions about this. And these are really just theories. We really need more people, you, independently monitoring radiation levels with us. We need people to use their Geiger counters frequently and systematically so they can recognize elevated readings when they see them. If you're not using your Geiger counter all the time, very frequently, you're not even going to notice when there's a plume coming through. We need people to monitor the air, the rain and snow, and the food, and to share that information with each other. We currently have parts of the U.S. with no data being shared. Geiger counters, contrary to what the authorities would like you to believe, can be used to measure radiation in foods, particularly low water content foods. As anyone who has placed their Geiger counter on a hot food item, California pistachios, for instance, were one of the ones that really shocked me, can tell you Geiger counters can and will detect radiation in food. I use a 15 to 20% increase over background on a long time count as my line in the sand for definitely elevated, and I will not eat those foods. Geiger counters are not reliable, however, for measuring very low levels of radiation in food. A gamma spectrometer is a better tool for that. There's a huge need for groups of concerned citizens to purchase and employ gamma spectrometers. I know of two groups. Both of these individuals heading up the groups are part of our group, so they're part of our network. And they're currently fundraising to purchase these instruments in California and Hawaii, which are on the front lines of receiving the plumes coming from Japan. Hawaii even more so than California, depending on the jet stream. But we need many more to step forward. There's a radiologic term called rain out. You could Google it if you want. It refers to the fact that radionuclides bind preferentially to the rain and snow as they're being formed, resulting in higher levels of fallout in rain and snow events. In fact, that storm that came through 2 days ago, Ray Masalis, the head of our group, got an extremely high radiation reading on that rain, and we ran a quick 10-minute sample on it from the motel as we were traveling here, and we got 263 counts per minute on that rain sample. The highest radiations we have seen since the meltdowns outside of Japan, which of course has very high radiation readings, particularly in a swath around Fukushima going north to Tokyo, which should have been evacuated a long time ago. Anyway, the highest Geiger counter readings we've seen have consistently been on rain samples, not only in North America, but in Europe and South America. We are seeing alarmingly high rain readings more and more frequently. 500, 1,000, 5,000 counts per minute, or disintegrations per minute. And for anyone who doesn't know, the federal alert limit is 100 counts per minute. For those of you interested in buying a Geiger counter, I'm just going to rattle off 4 recommendations because this is like the most common question I get, and I'm the go-to person, so I have to answer less questions if I answer this one up front. So I'm going to recommend 4 Geiger counters: the Inspector Alert and the Inspector EXP, made by SE International, which are $550 and $750 respectively. The PRM 9000, which is new, made by Major Instruments, which runs around $600. These are the 3 best, easy to use digital Geiger counters on the market right now. My 4th recommendation is the SOAKS, which runs around $225, but the SOAKS does have drawbacks in terms of sensitivity and ease of use. So finally, I'm going to leave you with a few personal thoughts. I have come to believe that nuclear is the most important issue that we face, larger and more threatening than anything else that we're looking at today, globally. If we don't shut down nuclear will shut all of us down, all of life down.